you can give us the 101 version verbally of your large submission. So go for it. We're in your hands.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm Paul Duignan. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you about this important topic of government planning. It's a bit arcane, but for those of us who are into it, it's really fascinating. Thanks for the report that was prepared for the Select Committee. I thought it dealt in detail with it. Thank you. I've had a lot of experience in government planning. I won't go into it now, but I was the director of the Labour Parliamentary Research Unit and did multiple projects for Treasury and others in regard to planning methodologies, particularly for government. There's three takeaways that I want to leave with you. One is the need for conceptual clarity around the key issues in government planning. Secondly, there should be a better way to see what government is doing. And then lastly, we could build on New Zealand's reputation as an innovator in public sector planning in the 80s and the 90s by moving forward in a direction I'm about to suggest. First of all, this question of conceptual clarity. A lot of problems arose when I've been doing this work for 30 years, and a lot of problems arose, technical problems. For instance, the question of attribution and accountability is a problem that arises all the time, particularly if you start talking about outcomes, you talk about contracting for outcomes. It's essential that you get these right. Otherwise, people will end up carrying risks that they don't even understand they're carrying. So what I've done is I've written a book about this, which is freely available up on the website, duvplanning.org/book, and it covers off all of the key issues that arose and how to solve them from a robust conceptual point of view using this thing called outcomes theory that I've been developing in the course of this work. So the first point is is a little bit like if we're doing accounting, you need accounting theory. If you're doing outcomes work, planning work, you need a little bit of outcomes theory. So there's a conceptual underpinning which is available for people to use up there. Second point, the government planning is complex. The documentation you're dealing with is complex and it will always be complex, but we can put a visual layer over the top, which enables people to more accessibly access the documentation. And that's what I want to talk about. I want to show you an example of visual planning framework in action. So what I've done here, this is kind of the fruition of 30 years of work on government planning, is I've specialized in building visual models. I'm a psychologist, so I'm trying to make things accessible for people. And I've built a visual model here. These are all the major government departments, not all of them. And we can drill down into them. First of all, I've taken the government targets, and I've taken each of the government targets, and here they are here. And what I've done for each, I've taken the target, but I've also built one of these diagrams, which is a particular type of intervention logic built according to a certain set of rules. And this is the steps that you'd have to take in regard to that one of the targets. This target happens to be shorter stays in emergency rooms. So you need to talk about community care, care at home alternatives, scaled ambulance handovers, etc. So you can see what was said. You can imagine a minister here talking to officials saying, how are we going in regard to these boxes? Are we going to achieve the target? So the takeaway here is that you can use a visual approach to thinking about planning. Now, this just doesn't, we've got all those, we've got all of the targets modeled in that way, but we can also use it for government agencies. So what I've done is I've built, and all of these is fully populated, I've built these models for all of the government agencies. I've done this in practice with government agencies on hundreds of occasions, but now what I've done with using an AI prompt, where I'm able to build very consistent models based on public documentation from the government agencies. So say someone says, well, hey, what's DOC doing in regard to visitor and recreation management? Immediately, people on your committee, ministers, cabinet ministers, MPs, anyone can immediately say, hey, this is what DOC's doing. It's trying to look at visitor demand, site carrying capabilities, tracks, huts, campsites. So what we've got there is a visual model, like a little roadmap going from left to right, which you can drill down immediately. So you can see how this is much more accessible than a traditional government planning that we have. It doesn't replace it, but it sits on top of it. You could say, what exactly is MFAT doing in the Pacific, for instance? So we drill down under MFAT and we can look at what it's doing in the Pacific. So here's the steps again, a model which has been drawn from public documentation about what that department's doing. It's not endorsed by the department, but it could be amended and it could be endorsed by the department. So I just wanted to basically show you that that's freely available. It's up on the web for anyone to look at. The committee can look at it, etc. And then the last point I want to make is really about innovation in government planning. New Zealand led the world in the 80s and 90s in government planning it could, if it wished, do it again with piloting this approach that I'm putting forward. I obviously covered that off in my submission in detail, but I've just really given you a little taster there of how we could. I have built in a sort of a proof of concept of that we could have a visual model for enabling people to get into government planning in a much more accessible way. Now, what I've built there, it is fully populated. It's drawn off information, public information about departments, but there's no reason why the departments couldn't go through and amend that to really absolutely tailor it to exactly what they're doing. It's all in PowerPoint. It's not any specialized software, and that's just in conclusion. This do-view planning approach is in a sense, I'm giving it away. I'm happy for anyone to use the approach. Anyone can consult on it. Anyone can train people in it. It can be used, it is in all of that's in PowerPoint that I showed you, so anyone can edit it. People just need to acknowledge that they're doing do-view planning. So in conclusion, all of this material is up on doviewplanning.org. If you want to look at the book, it's /book. If you want to look at that do-view that I've showed you, that diagram of visualization of the government planning, it's up there at /NZ do-view. And that's all I really wanted to say. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant, Paul, and great to have an outcome specialist kicking off our first hearings on the inquiry into performance reporting and public accountability. Do I have any questions, members, for Paul? And a lot of what we've seen is on that website. Ryan Hamilton.
Thanks, Chair. Look, just a comment, really. I hope that by the end of the process we can end up with something as straightforward as that, because that's certainly in my layman's process of working through government departments, I think if anyone could follow the pathway, that would be most helpful. So thank you for your contribution to today.
Yep, you've certainly made traceability very easy in those schemes that you showed us. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Paul, thank you so much for all the work you've done. Keep in touch with the committee, because this will be ongoing into next year, our inquiry, and we appreciate the work you've done.
Thanks very much. So yeah, anyone can use that. So have a wee look into that model. It's just up on the website at /NZ do-view, and you can click through and see what you think of it. Hey, thank you very much.